Now, can the USA give you birth to you? You already created the Father. Now all you need is a Son to do the Father's will. Yes, the U.S., the one, will give you a birth certificate. It's not a real son. It's only a make-believe son. But it was devised and created to serve the purposes of government and society, sort of like an immaculate conception. It is basically just magic. If you can recall, this is exactly what Judge Blackstone said about persons. He tried to codify the common law. He said, an artificial person, a mask, an identity, was devised and created for the purposes of government and society. It is a non-living entity or being created or birthed in the image of the U.S., and there will be a date it was issued, a day that this being came forth. At this point, you may use it as your proof of claim to be that. But since you cannot, the best you can do is think, act, and speak for it. And, of course, believe you are. And when summoned to court, you must appear to be. I think, therefore I am. It is your mask, and that is how the oldest trick and illusion in the book is done. The trick or illusion is so normal and usual that no one can see it or grasp it. First, you created something in your image. Then you claim to be the image of what you created. This is pure occultism. You now have a false identity, a counterfeit, a token. And you personify it. That means you give body to it. You're giving body. You ever watch that movie called Ghost, where one, right, used the body of somebody dead, a spirit being? A being created in your image, your semblance, a resemblance of you, a similitude, a graven image, a character. This is a sovereign citizen and a subject. One is above the law and the other is under the law. How do you think your laws are made? Everyone is above the law. Only someone above the law can make the law. Only someone above the law can amend the law, repeal the law, strike down the law. You're the one who made the law, so you're above the law. But you also got to be underneath the law. So you're both lawmaker and law obeyer. Because there's only us people here, remember? So, there's two of you. One's above the law, the other one's underneath the law. That's a split personality, a schizophrenic. A man who has two lives. A public one and a private one. A Jekyll and Hyde. A multiple personality disorder. A psychosis. Insanity. As a citizen, you have your rights. As a subject, you owe your allegiance, your duties. If you can recall, a person is any being with the capacity for rights and duties and is confined to that. Any being. Anything. Real, imaginary, live, dead, spiritual, whatever. Of course, with your supernatural abilities, you can give life to it. You can give it life. Or at least appear to. This is divination. All these things that I'm telling you are bad, by the way, are against the law. Okay? Now there are two beings, two distinct identities, but you can only see one. The mask conceals your true identity because you are confused. You have a confusion of face. One is natural, one is artificial. One is true, one is fiction. One is alive, one is dead. One is real, one is personal. One is private, one is public. We have to create a double identity in order for our legal system to work. Remember, there is only us people here. Your agreements have to be done with somebody. Your contracts, right? Nice system of law, don't you think? Have you ever noticed nobody ever shows identification when they go into court? You need identification for everything. You want to book a hotel? Need identification. Go to the airport, plane ride, voting, go to a rental shop, rent a step ladder, need some identification. Open a bank account, need some identification. Mailbox service at the post, need some identification. Take Billy to school, need some identification. When you walk into court, the judge looks at you and says, your name, please, and you tell him your name. Why don't you ask him, would you like to see some identification? They don't want to see your identification. You know why? Because they don't want the son of Canada. They want the person of Canada. They don't want the dead guy. They want the live guy who did the act. The legal system that we call law is the practice of personification. It is one of the forms of witchcraft. Giving life to the dead, giving the dead a spirit, a life. Welcome to Hollywood. Hollywood is the wood from the holly tree. The holly tree is a sacred tree of witchcraft. Hollywood is a place where people appear in person.